my sister has inspired me to take a break from coffee. And so I'm on day 2 of really wanting some coffee. But I think I'm going to give myself some time. I slept really well last night, and, it was kind of, I would say, like, I have struggled with addiction with many things, like, throughout my life, whether it be food or, like, whatever else. And coffee is one of those things that, like, I can definitely push my boundaries on. So I'm just taking a little break from it, and, you know, mainly because, like, I want it so badly. It's like, if you love it, let it go. There's nothing wrong with taking a break from it. And it's also one of those things that, like, people cannot, like, we can't seem to, sorry, I was clearing my throat. We can't seem to let go of coffee. It's like, it's such a beautiful part of the day. It's like everything. It's like the world is what it is, and it's like, if that is what it is, then at least I have my morning cup of coffee. And that's how I felt. But I am just taking a little break from it and just trying to feel what my body feels like without it. And I'll let you know. So, like, I'm on carnivore slash maybe a little bit keto, and, like, they said, they call it ketovore. So, a lot has been changing. What I've been doing, and it is really interesting to, like, observe, like, your cravings, like, especially in the first 2 weeks that I started more like a strict carnivore ketovore. I was having trouble sleeping. I just wanted carbs. Like, after every meal, I just wanted something sweet. And I was having trouble sleeping the first 2 weeks. And then I found this doctor named Elizabeth Bright, and she was saying to eat some butter before you go to bed because fat fuels mitochondria, can fuel ketone production. So I started doing that, and that was helpful. And, so I'm just trying to kind of, like, chip away at the things that I don't need. So, like, I'm taking a little break from coffee because I feel like, when you take out, like, a lot of carbs and sugar from your diet, it, like, it changes the way that you, so now, like, I'm not really craving sweets very much at all. It changes the entire way that you are, like, because it's all about dopamine, like, craving carbs and stuff. I think it's funny, like, people will tell me, like, I just love sugar, I love carbs. And every time I hear that, I'm just like, we're human. Like, we're designed to be dopamine addicts. Like, that's why people get addicted to opioids and heroin and carbs, food, the phone, and all these things, because they drive these pleasure pathways. I mean, sex, people have porn, sex addictions. Like, it's very prevalent now because all of this is so easily accessible. Like, food is so easily accessible. So I'm really just trying to observe, like, this part of myself that, like, really, really wants coffee and really, really wants the carbs, and trying to double down on, the protein and the fat. And one thing that I noticed too was that I was, since I'm still in, like, a very much adjustment phase with all of this, like, I I was forcing myself to eat a little bit too much, and they're talking about, like, carnivore diarrhea. Carnivore diarrhea is real because the body can only process so much fat at a time, and that would be, like, a function of the gallbladder. I don't know if you guys have looked around or, like, noticed or, like, listen to people. I listen to people all the time, but it's like a lot of people, and you can Google the statistics, a lot of people are getting their gallbladders taken out. Like, this is a major organ center in the body, and I think it is so important. Like, we don't get, when we have trouble with our bodies, you go to the doctor, we don't get taught about how the body functions, mainly because medical schools do not teach how the body functions as a whole. It just teaches certain, like, I'm going to study the urinary system, I'm going to study the cardiac system, I'm going to study dermatology. Like, everything is separated, nothing works together as a whole. So, same thing with mental illness and going to a psychiatrist. We medicate so much before we ever educate, and it's it's very sad that we do that, and it's unhelpful. So like, what does the gallbladder do? The gallbladder's function is to hold bile, to break down the fats that we're eating. And where does that trouble come from, like with the gallbladder, is that we have we have highly processed foods in our diet, which usually means that we have unhealthy fats, an unhealthy amount of unhealthy fats, and or we don't have enough healthy fats or fats at all. And so like, when we're not exercising the gallbladder and allowing it to pump and do the work that it's meant to do, we develop gallstones, we develop issues with that. And the best way to help restore that, the body is so resilient, no matter where you are. The best way to restore that is to cut out processed foods and start eating healthier fats, even exercising, And so I think it's sad because like, I've been starting to hear like over the last 2 years, like a lot of even younger people getting their gallbladders removed. And these things that are happening, like, they're happening at younger and younger ages. People get putting on medication at younger ages, getting major organ centers out at younger ages. Even cancer diagnosis is younger and younger. Dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. And we need education, because like, if we need education, then we need to be able to embody it and put it in the practices. And that's what, if our nervous systems are hijacked by all these pleasure reward centers, like, we'll never escape the cycle. And that's the beautiful thing about carnivore and keto diet, is that it focuses on nutrient dense foods, and it cuts out all the pleasure and reward centers, and it rewires the way that we commune and think about the world around us, the food. Because then it becomes about, okay, is my food nutrient dense? It's not just about, do I like this, or I want something different. It's not about flavor and pleasure. It's about, does this give me what I need in order to be full and satiated and feeling good? And we don't really like, I could speak on this because I was like addicted to Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I've been addicted to fast food stuff. I've had my struggles with food. And when you're caught up in the dopamine struggle with food, there is just like, sometimes you just want to eat for specifically flavor and purpose. Like now, if I'm not hungry while I'm doing this diet, it's like, if I don't want to eat ground beef and eggs, I'm not going to eat because I'm not hungry, And so it's a whole different way of like viewing your food. And if you struggle with addiction, like, there are so many people who tell their stories on like the No Carb Life podcast and stuff in this space, who's like, I've always struggled with food, struggled with alcohol, struggled with drugs. And then when I turned to this, like, it was the only thing that helped me. It was the only thing that satiated me, that didn't make me want to go outside myself. And we've talked about, like, I've talked about before too, it's like, where does dopamine come from? It comes from these amino acids. So if I am not getting what I need, like, dopamine comes from the essential amino acid phenylalanine, and then it'll break down into a conditional tyrosine, and then we make dopamine. So if I'm not getting the foods that I need, then I'm always gonna feel like I'm empty. Like I'm not satiated, I'm not satisfied. I'm always gonna want that sweet kick afterwards, or, just feeling like restless, absolutely restless. The body, it gives us signs, symptoms. We shake, we have dry skin, we have anxiety, we have depression. And this is the way that the body communicates with us, is it's always speaking to us. We just have not been taught how to listen, / we've been taught to ignore the way that we feel. But maybe times are changing. And if you found your way here, then maybe this is just an invitation for you to check it out, to see what's going on. Oh, so I was talking about the carnivore diarrhea and only digesting. So what I started to do was, I was trying to eat like only 2 meals a day, and it was too much. It was too much on my system. So right now, what I've done is I'm doing like 3 smaller meals a day. And also too, it depends on like where I'm at in my cycle. You know, men and women are very different. So if you're a man, like y'all are more able to fast and do like 2 or 1 meal a day. You know, I like, you know, us women, we're on a 28-hour cycle with our monthly cycles, and our hormones very much fluctuate. So, you know, I won't always probably be doing 3 meals a day. Like after my cycle ends, I'll probably, you know, I'm just gonna listen to my body and see what it says. But anyway, I do hope this is helpful for you in some way. If you're on your journey, you're gonna do great. You're already doing great. You know, it's like the world needs your light, and it really like, it's just a big experiment, and figuring out what works for you, and you know, incorporating other modalities. Like, it's not just about food. You know, going out into the sunlight helps break down those amino and fatty acids. It helps move our biochemistry forward. Strength training also moves our biochemistry forward. And meditation is too. Meditation is probably the most powerful. If you've never gotten into meditation, I really do recommend the book Breath by James Nestor. That book really changed my life, but I think you'll do great, you know. And I'll keep you up to date with my coffee break and diet. But other than that, I love you so much. Remember that we do not see ourselves accurately in the mirror. We are trillions and trillions of tiny little factories. Trillions. But anyway, I'll catch you later. Good luck.